Hey guys, what is up? Shadolance back with another review. Today I'm going to be doing the AK-103 gold-plated, one of my favorite assault rifles in the entire game! This is possibly one of my top, 5 favorite assault rifles, the first being pretty much all the F-2000 series. Love the F-2000 series, even though it's not particularly, the best series in the game. It's a ton of fun for me to use. I love it. But anyway, this has got to be one of my favorites. I love the AN-94 tac op as well. Tons of fun to play with. I love all these kind of high recoil, super high power guns. I just find those kind of fun to use, even though people tend to rage at you when you use them. But to be honest, these guns take a pretty fair amount of skill to use because the high recoil makes it even really difficult to use at close ranges if you're not literally point blank. And if you're at point blank, the chances that they're going to have an SMG to outdo you are pretty high, and most, I'd say 50% of the time, these guns will lose to SMGs if the person's experienced or a complete noob and gets a random headshot. So, going into this gun now, sorry that took so long, we're seeing a base damage of 48, portability of 55, rate of fire of 68, accuracy of 90, and recoil of 68. Damage of 48 makes it one of the highest powered guns in the game, that is an assault rifle anyway. The M14 series is also well known for being very powerful, as well as the rest of the AK series and the cousin variant AN-94 series, which includes the tac op. There are tons of variants in this family. I mean, I don't think there's any other family that has as many variants as this gun has. You have the AK-47, AK-103, AK-47 gold-plated, AK-103 gold-plated, the guitar gun, which is the forged of the AK-47 gold-plated, or the AN-94, the AN-94 itself, the AN-94 tac op, AK-74U, the U gold-plated, the M, and the M gold-plated. The M gold-plated is considered to be the best variant, but I actually digress. I do prefer this gun over it for a couple of reasons. One, it has a very useful burst mode. This gun has one of the most useful burst modes in the entire game, the others being the QBZ, which I find the burst mode to actually be quite good on, and the L85A1 mod series in scope. I find that burst mode to be quite apt anyway. Also, the FAMI actually has a very useful burst mode if you ever actually use that weapon. I don't think anyone really uses that weapon at all, considering the mag pull is so vastly OP-meng. But, yeah. This gun is also very nice because you can put a suppressor, sight, and magazine on it. I usually prefer to have the ACOG type sight on the AK series because it is better for aiming that one-shot, one-click headshot that you need, as I did in the very beginning of the video. Magazines, I don't usually find that I need to have an extra magazine because the spread is so huge. You really need to take your time to let your shot settle down anyway, and it is much better at close ranges than at longer ranges. Although it does have a pretty low damage drop-off. It is not the lowest in the game by a long shot, but it has quite a low damage drop-off. It rivals the AN-94 tac op's drop-off. It's not actually as good as the AK-74M gold-plated drop-off. I'm not sure about compared to the regular 74M, but the AK-74M gold-plated has the best damage drop-off of any of the AK/AN series weapons, so that's true. Ooh, that's quite a mouthful. Anyway, the rate of fire of 68 isn't the highest in the world. Some assault rifles get upwards to the 77 range. That's kind of the highest, I do believe, with the SOP mod. So it doesn't have the highest rate of fire in the world. It's 9 points below the highest in the game. But it's high enough that the high damage of 48 should be a very consistent 3-shot kill on pretty much anyone. That includes a Hauser. At maximum range to the foot, maybe not quite. Maybe a 4-shot kill then, but this is a very consistent 3-shot kill. That's true of pretty much every one of the AK series, excluding the U's. The AK-74U and U gold-plated don't typically have that because they're meant to be more of an SMG-style gun than a high-damage, high-recoil type gun. Although they do still have relatively high recoil, it's not the highest in the game. The recoil of 68 is not necessarily the highest stat in the world, although it is above the average of 66, so we're looking at 2 points higher on the average of recoil. But on the higher side, it's relatively easy to manage if you just tap fire relatively slowly, but the damage is so high, it's really good. And the recoil has much faster settle down than the M14 series, so it's easier to fire your shots a little bit quicker than you might, and the rate of fire of 68 most definitely allows for that. The portability of 55 is on the low side, unfortunately. Most typically have above 60. 65-ish is about normal. Maybe a little higher than that, 67-ish. But anyway, that's kind of the higher end of the rate of fire. And then there's higher than that, obviously. But on the 55, that is considered quite slow. Although that's true of most of the AK series. They typically have the very, very low portability in comparison. Although, obviously, it's easy enough to pull out a pistol because this gun is still worth it. Honestly, I find this gun is way more worth it than not. The only thing I really gotta say is hard to deal with the AK series, and what they're very much famous for is that they have the super freaking high recoil. I am pretty sure that if you don't count the M14 series, because it's really a different style of gun altogether, it's a battle rifle, not an assault rifle, technically, I would be willing to say the AK-47 has among the highest spread in the entire game. In some cases, it's higher than some snipers when you're jumping. So that's just kind of difficult. Also, the gold-plated looks completely badass and awesome, but it's obviously a dead giveaway. It's not going to be camouflaging you in any way. I don't think there's any environment in this game in which a gold camo is going to help you out there. The accuracy of 90 is very high. That rivals the G36C, which is very nice. It means your shots are going to be very, very accurate. Tap firing is super easy, and that's why I do prefer the ACOG scope, as I said earlier. I'm going to quickly compare this to the AK-47. So in my mind, I am comparing the best variant to the worst variant, although some people will digress and say the AK-74M is better. I personally have always found that the AK-47, AK-103 gold-plated is better. So comparing it to the AK-47, they both have a base damage of 48. The portability is 55 on both weapons. Rate of fire is 68 on both weapons. Accuracy is 90 on both weapons. However, the AK-103 has a reduced recoil to 68. So statistically, you're saying, well, that doesn't sound like a whole lot of a difference. But there's actually a lot of minor differences that get improved from the AK-47 to the gold-plated. The gold-plated has a faster reload, faster spread, recovery, I mean, and faster draw speed. But the draw speed is just a slight bit faster. It's not a whole lot faster. It is slightly faster, though, which is nice. Also, it has a different draw animation. I do believe the AK-47 requires a pullback at the front. If I really had to make recommendations for attachments, the ACOG scope, obviously. The extended magazine is really up to you. I'm not really one to put an extended magazine on an AK series weapon, but I've known people to do that all the same to get the extra 45 shots. Most people tend to put an extended magazine 2 on this weapon because they want to go for the super high accolades, given the really high damage and the ability to get headshots at very, very opportune moments. For some reason, it's one of the most headshot magnet-y type assault rifles in the game. I've never understood the theory behind that, but I guess the burst mode would help with that, considering the burst mode goes straight up. So I would highly recommend, if you get your hands on this weapon, to really think about trying to keep it. It's a really nice gun. Also, one other major difference between the AK-103 gold-plated and the AK-47, the basic, is that it has much, 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 much less damage drop-off. It is vastly, noticeably lower. You will be doing approximately 10 to 15 points more damage at a range you would normally be doing an AK-47 with. The AK-103 gold-plated will typically do quite a bit more. But that's about all the time I have for review today, guys. I really gotta say I love this weapon a lot. Fun to use. Highly recommend renewing it if you get it. Tons of fun. Even it's good in competitive gameplay. I would say it's pretty much apt for everything. But definitely thank you guys for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe. Ask for more videos. I will try to comply to the best of my ability. And I will see you guys in the next video. Shadolance out.